Round 2 from the semifinals of the biggest tournament of 2021. Yes, starting off strong. Intel Extreme Masters Katowice with two of the most iconic and youngest players in the game. Let me first introduce in the top right, the man, the myth, the Maru. He's been playing professional Starcraft 2. He's been proxy, Rexing, and so much more since effectively almost he was born. At 13 years old, joining the Global Starcraft League, and here he is today, threatening to win again. But we'll see, against someone who somehow, I'm getting so old, is even younger. In the bottom left, the Italian sensation, the BlizzCon finalist, the Slayer of Serral, the man with more APM than the entirety of the Bronze League combined. It's Reynor, who, now I got this secondhand, but his name is spelled like that because he just kind of didn't know how to spell it correctly in English. It's named after Jim Reynor. You're like, Jim Reynor was a Terran. And, I mean, let's not let such things get in the way of beauty, alright? And it's a little easier for search engine optimization, so really it's just good marketing. Now, I remember when I started playing Starcraft 2, 10 years ago, at the ripe young age of 18, or, well, maybe it was 59, I'm not sure. I think it was 18. Reynor is 18 now, and he started playing Starcraft 2 around the same time. Over half of his life, I was going to say adult life, but that is not the case. He has been playing the best game in the world. That level of experience in the last few years has really come to fruition. Like many younger players, even over the last couple years, just have a tendency to be incredibly fast, micro-oriented, hyper-aggressive. Maru knows all about this. But he's tempered it a little bit with a willingness to, when you're ahead, get more ahead. So that way, instead of chancing a loss now, you almost solidify a victory later. But of course, his opponent falls into that exact same category. Someone who, for a while, had a tendency to be so ridiculously micro-oriented and aggressive that he would sometimes lose games that if he was just a little more patient, he would win. But now both of them, honestly, even though they do play the most separate of races, they have a very similar style. It's all about speed, multitasking, precision, and overwhelming your opponent with just sheer and overwhelming skill. Reynor coming in. Maybe we can talk about the game. I was hoping to make it to 4 minutes, but I guess we'll talk about the game. It's Zerg versus Terran. No shenanigans afoot early, but something to point out, no Hellions out of Maru, which is a bit odd. Jimmy, I want to feel like I'm there. I want to hear the Overlord, the chunks of meaty flesh. I want to hear them rain down upon the Marines, who then contract the SCVs to wipe off their power armor or something. I don't know exactly what happens there. But, very exciting. So Reynor went for Overlord speed. He gets in with an Ovi, as we saw. The Marines are going to be a bit of a concern, but the Marines also alleviate some concerns for Reynor, because if it's not some sort of crazy Hellbat push, it's not a 2-1-1. It is just going to be, at least to start, Banshees. But now we have, what is this, a Flex Terran build? So there are a few different flavors of Terran. You got your Bio, you got your Mech, which are pretty standard. They start off the 1-1-1. You got your Barracks Factory, Starport, the Destiny Cloud Fist, a classic. But Terrans have just become more and more flexible on what that actually means. Because even though Maru has a bunch of Marines, and he's going for an armory and a third command center, You might be like, this might be a Bio-Curious build or something. No. This is actually just Marines into Hellions with Banshees, and then you throw in, it's going to be Bio after that with the armory for the Hellbats. So, like, it's a bit of a roundabout process that is partially to fool Reynor into thinking it's not going to be a Hellbat build when indeed it is. And also, like, I mean, you got to have some creativity out there. But this has become, this was something we saw a lot in Heart of the Swarm, was just kind of going back and forth. It's back again. Hellbat's back in style. Reynor, a big fan of the hashtag Yas Queens movement, and also having Banelings. So, unfortunately, I didn't get the time to mention that if the Zerg, and Reynor in this case was very active about scouting, if the Zerg just kind of figures it out, builds Queens and Banelings, then it does very little, because you've just taken longer to do the same thing. So right here, Maru got slapped across the face for his forward advances. Reynor not having any of it. That was... That did nothing. That was... I don't know, honestly, what Maru thought he was going to get done with that Hellbat push. But unless he thought, oh, I want this to get crushed by Banelings and like 3 Queens, then it probably didn't quite meet his expectations. But, and also, by the way, Maru, why are you thinking like that? That's not really It's like, no. As a Terran, I always think I'm going to lose, and then I get surprised when I win. It's like, okay, Maru, calm down. So Reynor, one of Reynor's fun character perks is always putting his Evo chambers in creative places where he can lose them. So I don't think he's going to lose them to Banshees here. We watched a series in the Big Game Weekly, the ESL Pro Tour, where Reynor just continually lost his Evo chambers to the most basic tank pushes, and kind of lost the whole series because of it. Like, not once, not twice, I think it was 3 times. So, he's a little more careful with that. But, we pull it all back. This is the most gentlemanly macro game we could have possibly started with. A little bit of the back and forth early with Maru, a tiny bit of pressure. Oh my god, a tactical goop, a contaminate on the factory building. Did Reynor just manually detonate all of his Banelings? I think so. Well, okay. I don't know if that was necessary. I think he was trying because they were stuck behind the Zerglings, but not a huge deal, but a little awkward there. Meanwhile, that leaves a bit of an opening for Mao to move in. And there hasn't been any critical damage on either side. A few extra Banelings here, a few Hellbats there. It now comes down to the multi-lane. It's like a MOBA game, but if each player had to control hundreds of units on all 3 lanes. I was optimistic. Reynor already up over 1,000 actions per minute, and Maru chilling at 400. And of course, making Zerglings and Banelings is a pretty APM-intensive process, just simply because they're relatively cheap. But this is TVZ at its finest, most intense, and it's on a knife's edge, because what Reynor is doing, he's not adding in a Spire. He's not going to have Mutas. He's going for a Hydra Den now, but that's for lurkers with the Hive tech. So he's not going to have anti-air, which means if a drop actually gets in, it's going to do damage. Speaking of which, that bottom right base taken out. Maru working around the creep, minimizing the amount of vision and map control that Reynor has, though his creep is spreading directly towards the 3rd and the 4th. Whereas Reynor is building up towards the Hive. He's got the Lurker Den on the way with the Hive halfway done. It's going to be timed out with it. He's got Zerglings and Banelings in the main, and some over on the right side as well. He only has the +2 Carapace upgrade on the way. And I think at this point, Maru, he's already got 2 tanks in production at a time and another factory in production as well, which means 3 tanks. He knows what he's going to be up against. Does he decide to max out and go? He's got 2-2 on the way. If you're going to go before getting that ultra late game tech, we're talking Ghosts. Speaking of, the Ghost Academy. If he's going to go before he gets Ghosts and Liberators, ideally both, but at least one or the other, it's going to be now. Because with 2-2 finishing, this is the best it is going to get for Maru for a while. He's got 3 CCs on the way. He's got a Ghost Academy. He's still laying pressure on and keeping the creep back. But it doesn't appear he wants to unsiege those tanks and commit to anything too particularly risky. Some more banelings coming through. Reynor splitting off a few. The Queen's ready on the edge of the creep. Always waiting for their moment. Drop at the back of the main. Oh, Maru just gonna cut through it. Remember, those Zerglings don't have... Well, and now this is what happens. He didn't leave the banelings in the main. Maru smelled weakness. And he loves the stench. Infestation pit taken down. Extractor, great positioning. Gunning down Zerglings. They can't get the surface area. And this is not everything that's happening. Yes, we're watching the Marines die, but at the front, the creep is cleared. The Queen's gunned down. Maru finding the opportunities because every set of units that Reynor is forced to bring back towards the main is another set that has to come from somewhere else on the map. Unfortunately or fortunately for both players. Depends on their style. You can only have 200 supply, and that at this level is never enough. Is that Reynor? Reynor boldly going where no Terran has yet gone before in this match. Why not? It's only 300 minerals. That's not even that many Zerglings. Maru, understanding when he can stand his ground and when he's got to pick up and go, and gets the hatchery in the bottom right corner, but Reynor still going for the bingo strat in the top left. That's a lot of tanks. +2 mech weapons just now starting. Reynor getting caught on a bit of an awkward pathing. Those are changelings. I wish they didn't show up like that, but the lurkers are done. We've got a Nidus network on the way. Adaptive talent, +1 missile attacks, which affects that lurker, the lurker damage. Is that a lurker drop in the main? Is this the Brood War? A double Nidus lurker drop, but here comes another drop. The newest Skrillex album happening right now in Maru's main. But it appears we're having some slight network connectivity issues. Gunned down by a bit of bile. Reynor forced back to the bottom right. A Banshee still exists. Ghosts in production. Planetary Fortress. 3-3 looking to finish. Spire in the main for Reynor as he realizes that at some... We've kind of... Oh, a triple Evo chamber. I love it. But Abathur would be proud. He's still going for the Niduses. If one of these gets in and a dozen lurkers come screaming through, well then, we might have some serious issues. But Blinding Cloud on the tanks. Banelings crashing through into the planetary. Not enough tanks, and they can't see anything anyways. But Reynor's also in the main. He's relentless. More lurkers coming through. Only 2 here so far, as he's able to get damage at the 4th, and now Reynor is mining from the top left. He's got 100 drones. The lurkers doing damage, spread out enough to cost multiple scans, getting some damage onto the ghost. So economic, infrastructure, and army damage from Reynor. He's gotten all 3 things, which means he doesn't have a significant... Another Nidus. This one probably not going to be invested in. But when you do these sort of attacks, you run the risk of being left with a weakness. So sometimes you go kill a base, a lot of SCVs, but you don't touch their army, you're left with a poor unit composition. If you kill their army but not their economy, then they can just rebuild and you've not really made any progress, or you've slipped behind. But Reynor killed a base, he did damage to the army, and he slowed down production simultaneously. So that's about everything you want. Not like Maru took a ton of damage, but Maru definitely on the back foot. He's clearing up the base on the top left. A Blinding Cloud forces the tanks to move out of position. The Ghost slowly becoming more and more the unit composition. A handful, 5 medevacs, 4 of which are out of energy, and no Red Bulls to spare right now. Another Nidus into the main. He's got changelings! The changelings! I don't know if Maru realizes how this got in here, The changeling, how are they not super? Oh, Maru saw one, he gets the other, but a lot of units coming back as well. Reynor using every tool. He's grinding Maru down at the moment. Maru still has a couple decent bases, but Reynor's economic lead is getting a little out of control. Mules aren't going to save you from this, because mules still need minerals to mine, and minerals eventually run out. 2,200 income lead. The bank's starting to grow. Now, at the same time, they're both maxed out, and since Reynor has 100 drones, that means there's only so much left for the army. So Reynor either has to keep the pressure on or become more and more cost-effective. So the answer to that Reynor says is, I'll do both. A great ghost split. Terrifying. But Reynor just trickles banelings through. Finds the damage on the ghost. Maru defending his planetary. The boys pulled into action, but everyone will die at the end. Does Reynor didn't have Hydra speed. What a noob. I was wondering at the end there, you can see the Hydras moving around. Hydra speed, definitely a mistake on that. I don't know how much of an impact it's had, but he's definitely lost more Hydras than he needed, and these attacks taking a little longer. Even the best of the very best sometimes miss crossing their T's, dotting their I's, and upgrading basic-ass things like Hydra speed. Reynor, every single Zerg unit has a speed upgrade. It's one of the most important things. Otherwise, like Baneling speed, Roach speed, Zergling speed, Overlord speed, Lurker speed, Ultra speed! You forgot Hydra speed. He's making Hydras as like half of his unit composition. So, what would this game have looked like if he didn't forget and he had it 5 minutes ago? I don't know, because now we're here. Make no mistake, Maru's still definitely on the back foot, but he's held these attacks pretty strongly. Reynor has lost twice as much. Wow, he is playing the full Zerg right now. He's lost nearly twice as many minerals and gas. This is not sustainable. At this point, he's nearly lost an entire extra base of resources, and if he continues at this rate, it won't matter if he's actually able to deny Maru one of his bases. Because a base has approximately 20,000 minerals. Not quite exactly. Like, it's more like 18,000. And has 4,500 gas. So usually we don't talk about those numbers because at the end of the day... The numbers don't lie! Oh my god. And they spell disaster for you. Also, I'm not a mathematician. But when you're being this ridiculously cost ineffective, you do have to get something done. Like, I did not really... It really did feel like Reynor was throwing caution... Wait, what? What? Did I miss something? Why is this base dead? Did Maru consume his base to death? What? What? Is there a drop I missed? I don't know. Either way, that base being dead, that's super weird. I don't... Reynor obviously caught off guard based on the fact he has a hatchery on both sides of it, so either Maru sniped it. I was too busy. You see, this is what happens when I do math. Maybe Reynor was doing math. Zerg players aren't big on math. Is there enough? No. More banelings, more lurkers, more lings, more hydralisks. More now. Maru is smoothly transitioning. I think Maru is definitely more comfortable with this scenario here. Like, he's been here before. He's been playing Zergs for years who just try to batter him down. I'm not sure exactly what he's looking for. Maybe a Broodlord transition. Maybe something Spire related. But Maru has been slowly but at increasing rate transitioning into the most possible cost-effective Terran army. We're talking ghosts, liberators, tanks, nukes, all these units that you have to commit a significantly larger amount to engage. Well, watch out, the parasitic bomb. Maru still holding. Reynor trying to find more bases. It just does. It feels less and less like Reynor is at risk of overwhelming Maru, because the ghosts, like the ghosts, aren't pushovers themselves on the ground. The ghosts have almost, Okay, well that SCV has been like 10 minutes ago and put in a work order like, hey guys, can I get an excavation crew over here? But of course, the corporate bureaucracy in the Terran Dominion is stifling. It's like, oh, you have a, quote, war to fight. Okay, sure. Yeah, I guess you don't want more ghosts, because all the minerals are over here. That's pretty much the only base that hasn't really been mined by Maru so far. Another attack, like, Reynor is making less and less progress with each of these attacks. Maru is making 3 tanks, 2 ghosts, +2 mech armor, and +2 ship weapons. Oh my, like, Reynor has lost 4,000 gas and 16,000 more minerals. The times of plenty are ending here, as you see the income gap closing. Reynor's overwhelming, his attempt to essentially corner the economic market by overwhelming Maru with his unit production has all but failed. He really put a lot of effort into that, but for the first time, well, this isn't too far out on the map, but okay, so the Evo chambers aren't going to bleed out. Reynor didn't even have +3 melee attack or +3 ranged attack. So it does feel like that's a bit on the late side, much like Hydra Speed. And those are the type of things that all the snipes across the board. Technically, lurkers can outrange them, but the lurkers were not in position to deal with this. Another planetary is going to go down. But with all those ghosts involved and all the banelings, they only get to attack once. We have to ask ourselves the eternal caster question. At what cost? That was a lot more gas. He's almost up to 5,000 gas. Nine more lurkers on the way. I mean, Reynor still has 2K in the bank. The main is mined out. There's still somehow gas there. The minerals are wait, Reynor's down to 1 base of minerals. This is actually down to the wire. He denied a base out of Maru. He's not out of this yet. It's just been very slowly but surely trending towards Maru. Part of it was that Maru just had the army supply, and he didn't overcommit. He didn't overextend. He didn't try to counterattack a Reynor who was more than happy to attack into him. 15 lurkers for Reynor is the brunt of his army, up against 15 siege tanks with +3, +2. So, is that lurker trapped in between 2 lurker eggs, which we've all been there. Reynor coming in, parasitic bomb, but liberators are there. More lurkers dunking down. Is there a scan? I don't know how he has detection here. Oh, a scan off to the side. He didn't have detection. He had half the lurker scan. Now this is dicey. Oh, the ghost getting a little close for comfort. But that was an unmitigated disaster for Reynor. That was Reynor coming in with the same amount of units as before. Wow, I think Reynor agrees. At some point, Maru, he was holding, he was bending, and he was holding. And that was the one where Maru finally bounced back. That was the attack that just didn't kill a base, it didn't kill a bunch of tanks, it didn't get any significant amount of units. And at the end of the day, when you lose twice as many resources as your opponent, you better hope the game ends quick. 690 Zerglings, 100 Banelings, 39 Lurkers. These are costly things. And so far, they're costing Reynor the lead in this series. That was a very... I'm a little impressed. I don't know why, but like, Maru hasn't been the Maru of old. The Maru of four medevacs, load them up, and go for the main kind of Maru. It's been a while. But they're just the patience and the willingness to take the punches. Maru never really he never actually attacked Reynor. That game was Reynor continually attacking and kill until he wore himself out. The whole thing. Like, he just attack. Yeah, sure, Maru was doing drops. He wasn't just sitting there. He wasn't just lying there. That would be rude. He was putting his own moves in. He was throwing some medevacs around the back. He was clearing up the creep. He was still there. He was on the map. But Reynor was putting everything into each of those. And at some point, he kind of tired himself out. You run out of minerals, you run out of gas, and you run out of the ability. Because wars run on economy. And, well, Reynor's brood. Oh, yes, of course. We all know the rule for the Maru. The proxy Rex philosophy. So whenever it's the first or last game of a series, or you just won or lost a game, is a good chance that Maru is going to proxy Rex you. So game 1, we didn't see a proxy. Of course, it goes up if there's no proxy Rex, until there is no proxy Rex for 3 games, in which case it goes down. So just follow along. Reynor scouring the side of the map. His overlords aren't going to quickly scout. And gonna find no proxy Rex because, of course, there are none to be seen. So, I can't even read too much into the opener from Maru. Like, he did his Marine into Banshee into Hellbat. The opener went very poorly. Reynor literally just slapped him across the face for it, but he couldn't capitalize on it. He decided to go up to 100 drones, but never found the deadly amount of... Like, there's always that moment where the Terran just loses too much. We've seen it in every matchup. It's more distinct for Terran than I think any other race. Because at some point you can no longer, because of how Terran production works, you can no longer get enough units out to survive the next attacks, assuming you're not already being overwhelmed. It's just never going to be enough. But Reynor never found that moment. He never found that fight where he kills like 70 supply out on the map. Because Maru never gave him the opportunity. Terrans. Terrans. 3 CCs. Before Starport. Occasionally players will attempt to punish it with like a roach all-in or some sort of like queen push. The problem is, you can survive, and there's a reason the 1-1-1, the barracks factory and stuff, but there's a reason it's been so popular for so long is you kind of get a little bit of everything. If you're active on your scouting, which Maru of course is, and if you're diligent on your production, which, I mean, do I need to repeat myself? Then you're going to know if any attacks are coming. And even a Banshee and a couple bunkers can potentially defend against a much more costly investment out of the Zerg. So, most Zergs, and Reynor's doing it here as well, most Zergs will go more for just that economic superiority. Knowing, like, we just have a couple more queens on the way, just drones, 100 drones. I don't think Reynor needs to switch much up. At first, it seemed like the Hydra speed was a fun, like, afterthought. Like, okay, whatever. It did look like Reynor might break Maru. But then you start to realize, like, not having that Hydra speed for a while, not having those +3 upgrades, it adds up over time. Like the extra supply or the ease that you could kill bases eventually grow to such a rate that, like, that's the difference between a win and a loss. And it's not all on that, but I don't think Reynor needs to switch up too much. I would have liked to see, and I know they're incredibly vulnerable creatures, but they're also effective. Mutalisks. Especially if you realize they're going for the greed and they're not going to have production. If there's anyone suited to multitasking Mutas, it is Reynor. They are an incredibly APM-intensive unit. They require essentially a strong but firm hand. Well, not no, more like a soft but firm. Because you don't want to force them to go anywhere. Because you don't want them running into Whittle Mines or anything like that. But you also can't just let them go do their own thing, because you lose 3-4 mutas. You already lost several hundred gas. Dealing with the Liberator here is Reynor. But they are the best way to maintain map control. Hydras and Lurkers only have one real method of attacking, and it's through the front door. Now the thing is, it's a little hard to get mutas, Lurkers, or Hydras when you're taking a lair so late. And I don't mean late as in it's a mistake. I mean late as in he chose to get the 1-1 upgrades and a solid economy first. So just late in comparison to when he could, not late like he made a mistake. Maru, on the other hand, here we go again. 3 CCs, of course, lend themselves to less aggression and more macro. More Marines, more Marauders, more Medevacs, more presence and map control. If it doesn't start with M, we don't want it. Mahelians as well out on the map for Maru. Well, and by out on the map, I mean at his third, trying to pressure. 16 more Zerglings on the way, indicating Reynor expects some sort of attack coming up. Maru just loading up whatever he's got into some medevacs. Just the existence. Oh, Reynor inspired. He's got a Spire on the way. The drop coming towards the main. The Queen's moving into position. Brenda's knitting crew wishing they had that extra range. The creep is pretty insane already. Yeah, I mean, this, you have to do this. You have to do. If you're a Zerg player, you need, your advantages are either in an overwhelming amount of, well, it's an overwhelming amount of production, which Reynor was using last game, and or map control. And obviously the best players do both. But the creep spread looking real good right now. This base is kind of extraneous. The Widowmon getting some hits off. Maru stands his ground and takes out the hatch. Reynor just cancels and restarts immediately. He refinanced that hatchery. Oh, Brenda. What, Karen? We can't hit those because we can't fly. What do you mean? Before the war, I was able to. Not since the accident. You know what can fly though? Well, mutas. They flap their wings no matter where they're flying. Oh, well, that was very sad. That was very sad. That was very sad, Maru. Just flew right into a spore crawler. Now, not like any of these medevacs matter. Maru is, oh, the mutas. Just in time got that commentary in. And here we go again. Now this is looking even more like Heart of the Swarm. We got a Thor on the way. Widowmons, Drilling Claws, +2/+2 across the board. Mutas, Infestation Pit. So Reynor not going to be sticking on that lair tech. He's going all the way up to Hive. And then maybe Ultralisk. They're a bit of an ultra risk, but it does depend on how much the mutas are able to get done. At 9 minutes, Reynor's nearly maxed out. He's essentially maxed out. Maru not too far off. He's going to have, I believe, One Thor is already out, maybe the first one finishing now. The banelings will crash through the rest of the depots, which opens the base potentially to a full-on attack. More Zerglings and banelings streaming through. The Widow Mines will intimidate Reynor enough, but he draws the fire out with a handful of Zerglings and banelings. The Hellbats are here as well. Maru actually supply block, because when you do use depots as part of your wall, you run the risk of losing much of your supply simultaneously. Hive on the way. Hydralisk Den, implying lurkers in the future. Reynor going forward for the double, the rich Vespene with that juicy purple gas. It's so great, I can't believe it ain't Terrazine. Okay, calm down, Stepman. The mutas. Now, this is the best way to use the mutas, in my opinion. You get about 15 to 20. He doesn't quite have that number yet, but he is maxed out. Give Reynor a sec. You don't go for 30. You don't rely on mutas for your entire composition, but the mutas are keeping Maru at home. Even more than last game. Like last game, the double lurker den for Reynor. And this is not a mistake. This is so we can get both lurker upgrades simultaneously. He can get the speed and he can get the range. The speed, of course, comes with bonus digging claws, which is the original version of the upgrade name, where they burrow as fast as Widow Mines, if not faster. Finally, the Zerg gets something good. Banelings crashing through the planetary fortress, just enough to take them down. Reynor, I think he's obviously adapted from last game. It's not like Maru's struggling, though, either. He knows up against mutas, you can actually fight. With this many mines, he has the might he needs in order to actually push out on the map. He knocks out the rich Vespene base, and that's incredibly important to do. You cannot allow a huge amount of lurkers or ultras or whatever hive tech that Reynor wanted. You can't let it happen so easily. The turrets, the TPM in the right spot at the right time. The mutas shut down. Widow Mines leading the charge. Lurkers in production for Reynor. The Widow Mines at the back. There's not too many left over. The Bio Army is just too goddamn cost effective. He's got 3-3 on the way. The lurker upgrades are coming up, but lurkers without their upgrades. I mean, come on right now. You're going to get a stock lurker? Those lurkers, you need the speed, you need the range, you need some fancy flashing lights so that way people know your computer is very fast. That's what you got to upgrade. And right now, Reynor doesn't have it yet. The lurkers are moving forward, but they're not scuttling with great enough speed to intimidate Maru. And with 3-3 on the way, more command centers, more factories. Maru has taken control of this game before Reynor was able to get the overwhelming late game unit composition that he needed. And right now, like, where are the banelings? Where are the banelings? Lurkers are a poor stand-in for banelings when chasing down drops. They can hold a position well, but they're not going to until Maru just picks it up and drops it right back down. And two lurkers, yeah, they can burrow fast, but they burrowed late. And right now, Maru is starting to grind through. He's got another attack on the opposite side. More lurkers trickling. He can just pick up even those Thors, though they are quite heavy. Widow Mine finds a connection. Wow, the medevac healing through the lurker for the Marines that killed the base. One Hydra. Okay. Deja vu. I've just seen them fight here before. Well, never mind. He just got away. He just left. He just left. Unfortunately, I'm pretty sure all the mutas are dead. Yep. Not like we saw half the mutas die and the rest, I guess. Well, they're not here anymore. There weren't too many left. A big attack from Reynor. Ghosts already added into the composition. The planetary holding long enough to draw a lot of fire. The medevacs, he's just gonna dunk it down on top. Maru over the top. Brings it home. Reynor. He gets the planetary, but Maru smashes the army. And once again, Reynor is putting a lot of effort and a lot of money into these attacks where Maru is not committing half as much. Literally half as much. 22 Oh my god, 3,500 more gas lost. Non-lurkers, 12 mutas, 60 banelings. Maru once again is finding the cost efficiency, whereas Reynor is trying to just batter him down, no matter the cost. And it may cost him this game. It's feeling very similar to the previous match. In fact, even better for Maru, because by the time the lurkers came out, Maru already started getting momentum out on the map. He already was out there denying key bases. He was already taking good trades with lurkers before they were on his side of the story. Parasitic bomb on Vikings. Oh my god. You know, I'm sorry, I don't speak English very good. That, like, the Vikings aren't even that necessary. The Vikings are the least important unit in this composition. They're good at zoning out the Vipers, but the Vipers, if they're using their spells only on the Vikings, you see, it's difficult. It's a waste, especially if you lose the Viper. Like, a Viking's only 75 gas apiece, and it pops out. It's the best it's ever gonna get, no matter what its mother tells it. Like, a Viking doesn't get better when it gets more energy. It just gets more ambitious and starts trying to kill Ultralisks, which we all know how that goes. Everything slowing surprisingly down here. I'm not using, like, nobody's dying. So, about to change the channel on this game if somebody doesn't decide to go get themselves killed. Reynor, I think, acknowledging maybe he shouldn't just continually attack in and lose all his lurkers. And if he's able to grab this center base with those rich Vespine geysers, then he could find himself. And, like, there's still plenty on the map. There are more bases in play than we saw at the end of last game. The Banelings zoning out. Another base taken down. SCVs evaporated. A much safer, a conservative attack out of Reynor, but effective. He got in. He got damage done. He knocked Maru's supply back without costing himself too much money. And by that I mean he has lost nearly twice as much with over 3 times as much gas. But it's the thought that counts. At least he's trying. Oh god. The thing is, 3,000 to 9,000, that's still not that much gas in the grand scheme of things. That's 2 bases. He's still got 5 or 6 more to go. Now, a key point of the rich Vespine geysers, they mine twice as fast. So this is worth 4 geysers, but they have the same amount. They start with 2250, just like any other gas geyser. So they mine out twice as fast as well. You don't get double the gas, you just get it double as fast. And I'm sure a lot of you can empathize with that. Meanwhile, the EMPs, oh my god, the EMPs were beautiful. The only Viper with energy gets killed off by the turret, but the Lurkers and Banelings zone out the Ghosts, and the Lurkers are enough to take this out. Though, the Ghosts clean up the fight. This is the standard trend. As a Zerg player, you front load as much damage as possible to punch through that Terran army. And if you're not able to do that, then the Terran usually wins the latter half of the fight. And if you're a Zerg, you better hope it's the half and not more. Because once the splash damage and the lurkers and all the spells are starting to wear off, well, then you have ghost snipes. Then you have medevacs healing. You have tanks firing. You got widow mines coming in. All these things go better and better for the Terran as time goes on, unless you're able to break the back of the army and they're just in full retreat. I just heard something. Oh, no, 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 no! Ah! Ah! Stop! Somebody stop his Vipers! Now, this is a good counterattack. Okay, the Vipers leave. Reynor starting to become more and more cost-effective on the map. 12 more SCVs go down. How many is that? 51 to 3. Maru's been methodical, but Reynor's been murderous. Greater Spire on the way. Reynor going through the whole tech tree, jumping around. I mean, it's not so much jumping as growing into another complete branch of it. The lurkers are still a very important part of everything here. It's more that corruptors and broodlords can help a lot against tanks and widow mines, though maybe not so much against Vikings and Thors and ghosts. Huge amount of Zergling count, over 100 Zerglings. I don't know how many this is in the grand scheme of things, but it's a lot of them. He's going into the third, into the natural. Ghost, full retreat, attack at the front. Maru slowly moving forward, looking to break the lurkers, where Reynor streams over the top. The Vikings gonna deal with the overseers, which potentially opens up an opportunity for any ghost to get damage done, but there's no ghosts here. A little bit of bio, the tanks. What happened to Reynor? His Zergling. Where does Zerglings go? Oh no. Oh no. There are no more Zerglings. He's supply blocked because the Vikings killed so many overlords and overseers. He has 3,000, 6,000, but there was a solid 30-second window where he couldn't build anything. He's got 13 corruptors on the way. The Vikings, this is almost like a Terran version of DT Phoenix, where now the Ghosts would cloak and the Vikings to knock out the detection. There's no... Well, Infestors are joining now as Reynor realizes he might need something to hold either those Vikings or Ghosts down. Ghosts, like, if snipes are allowed to go off unimpeded, Reynor is dead. That, like, you cannot let Maru get those snipes off in such a number. Reynor's he's buckling down. Buckling down? That sounds right. That's right. Corruptors got great parasitic bomb all over the front. Parasitic bombs across the board. The Zerglings are thinning out though, as are the lurkers. Maru comes in from all sides with the snipes and knocks the Zerg off his goddamn lawn. Wow, the lurker couldn't even see up to the high ground. Yeah, good parasitic bombs, a good front-loaded attack from Maru. From Reynor, rather. But Maru comes in with a stalwart defense. He holds on to his base, and he knocks out those key units. And once again, a whole bunch of gas. And while Maru has lost a lot more. Holding on to this base. What am I watching? What is this? Who are you going to call? Ghostbusters. Doesn't make sense, but doesn't need to. All right, don't question them. Oh, the spore crawlers on the march, called into action. Infestor Broodlord. Reynor goes back to the future here. Oh well, there's a lot happened there. That tank might have been able to kill some Infestor. But here are the Broodlords. What does Maru have for anti-air? Maru just completely ignoring this attack. Instead decides to get everything, go to the exact opposite side of the map. Reynor into the main with a Nidus. And Maru doesn't have enough production to deal with this. We're in a soft base trade now as they both clear out the bases in the center of the map. Reynor jumps on top of the tanks, dunks the lurkers down in his face, but the tank count is too high. The ghosts are too strong, and the medevacs are on the back line. The Broodlords kill a base. There's a Nidus in the main. Reynor, he loses 30 drones with, wow, 30 drones. I say, not believing my own numbers. But unfortunately,
the numbers don't lie, and they spell disaster for you.
Vikings on the deck to deal with the Nidus network, the most mobile unit you can put together. Reynor routed on the right side of the map, whereas Maru was only temporarily pushed back on the other one. The Spore Crawlers doing their best, but Spore Crawlers not well known for their ability to counter siege tanks. You can't... Yeah, go tell your friends what... Okay. It's... Somehow, this game... It's been 25 minutes. Somehow this game has felt both, like, 12 minutes and 40 at the same time. So, like 25... It's been constant back and forth, but we also have some of the most late-game possible compositions. The map is already on the more lean side of mining out. Broodlords aren't what they once were, and neither are Infestors. This is not Wings of Liberty. The range and the fungal danger is not nearly what it once was. It still is good for zoning out, but you don't want this to be your main army composition. What else is there? What else does Reynor have? He has what? 0 gas income? That's not very much. Oh, beautiful fungal! Parasitic bomb! Wombo combo! It's good. It's not as good as it was, but it ain't nothing. Reynor actually lines up the wombo combo. The ultimate double trouble of splash damage, and the Vikings are all bruised or dead, which is arguably worse. And Maru once again picks everything up and heads to the right side of the map. Reynor, not enough. Here they come. He's gonna kill the Overseer. The snipes through the floor. They're psionic bullets, okay? They use trans-dimensional phase inducers in order to shoot through the floor. Don't question it. They curve the bullets around like Anakin Skywalker in that other movie. Might be like, that's not what his character's name was, and honestly, I don't remember. I think Morgan Freeman was involved too. Just throwing that one out there. Reynor is trying to fight. Reynor, the fastest player in the... I think he's got 650 actions per minute. If your wrists don't hurt vicariously through this match, then you have never played StarCraft before. 650 APM, but this is the slowest unit composition that Zerg has. They thought like the koala bear walrus composition. Yes, we're on the walruses lately. With those infestors and broodlords. I don't know what is an air creature that doesn't fly very... like a balloon, but very large, like a. Well, at this point we're going full Hindenburg because a lot of gas is invested into this slow-moving airball, and if it runs into the Terran infrastructure, we could have a bad time. Reynor is gonna rely on Maru essentially acting like him now. Reynor, oh! The fungal, a little late on the draw. Maru, like Reynor wants Maru to fight him. Wow. What am I watching? 3 Vikings. They spend 2 scans to get that creep tumor. That'll have to cut it. He wants Maru to just YOLO in like Reynor's been doing this whole game. He wants him to just send all those units and hope for the best and really just try to overwhelm. Because then maybe... Ooh, a Brofester. Will he notice? No, don't. Expensive scout. I'm not sure. Does he have Neural Parasite? He does. Though I don't think Neural Parasite is the choice here. Though... he may want to do... Parasitic Bomb, good. Oh my god, the Infestor's down there. It's still down there. I'm not sure, like, what do? Do you know Parasite of Thor or something? I don't. Because if he unburrows, the tanks kill it. Maru mining from the top right. Reynor's out of money. Reynor is spending every drop of gas and every chunk of minerals he got. Oh, beautiful fungal! Oh my god! Oh, butchery! But at the same time, the Terran army has a lot of firepower here. The Thor's pounding through. Vikings hold the line. A lot of splash damage dealt. There's still the Infestor hanging out. That was about as good as it was ever gonna get for Reynor, and it wasn't good enough. Oh no, the Infestor just goes into the scan in the most anticlimactic way. There's not enough broods. There's no ground army. The Thors are here, and the Ghosts are behind them, and with it, Reynor once again falls, lining himself up at just a costly endeavor. And I'm not entirely sure how you, like... It's not working. It's not working. The style of Zerg you're supposed to be able to just F2 and A with, it's not working. Maru is not the Maru of old. He's not the Maru who reminds us so much of Reynor. He's not just YOLOing in attacks. He's gotten caught a couple times, but it wasn't like because he was being super aggressive. It was just Reynor playing smart and taking advantage of it. But like, that is, it feels like Reynor is playing his best game and Maru is not letting, it's not enough. I mean, we will see. So, but down 2-0 is a, statistically, it's not, I mean, it's not a best of, it's a best of 5. So, Reynor only needs 3 in a row. 3 in a row against the guy who's, 1 more GSLs than, I don't know if, I was gonna say 1 more GSLs than amount of years Reynor was alive when he started playing StarCraft. But that's 1, a lot of math, and 2, I'm not quite sure it's true. But, real quick, it is match point. So before we get back into the action, Jimmy says we gotta do a quick advertisement. Gotta get those, because we can't just have Maru Proxy Rags 3-0. So I'll be right back. You can pause ad block, no skipping. Thank you for watching. Hey everybody! I'm Winter, and did you know if you haven't yet liked and subscribed, it's because you just forgot. And that's okay. But I'm glad I was here to remind you. And also, I want to remind you of Prime Gaming. Prime Gaming, it's the most excited way to use that Amazon Prime you think that that you're going to use, but you just won't cancel because you think maybe someday. Anyways, give me money. Thank you. Good night. Thank you guys for sticking around. A tall order. Let me introduce, in this IEM Katowice 2021 semi-finals, in the top left, it's Maru. He literally, now, I really need to read over the update again, but he went to the hospital, and it sounds bad. I'm not sure how bad it actually is, but it sounds really bad. He went to the hospital because his wrists were in so much pain, and he was diagnosed with a condition that isn't quite carpal tunnel, but it's kind of close to it, where if he's not careful and has a strict training regimen, then his wrists may explode to some point, not literally, but close, where he can barely use them. So, yikes. And also, hopefully he's taking care of that, and apparently his team, Team Envy, Should have mentioned that earlier. Is helping him out. And apparently it's working, by the way. A man who we all assume that's going to happen to at some point in his life. But hopefully, long into the future for completely unrelated reasons. The Italian Stallion. It's Reynor. Who very diligently scouted all the way up to the high ground where Maru might float down some wrecks. Like, 650 APM at the end of the game last time for Reynor. And it still wasn't enough. Like, quality over quantity to an extent. But, honestly, the APMs, and Maru was at about 400, which, remember, Zerg has, if you've watched the low APM challenge, if not, go watch the entire 30 or so hours right now and then come back to this series, no problem. I'll wait. You could pause. But we know it's not everything, but also Zerg, just because of all their housekeeping mechanics, the more domestic queens, we'll call it, we gotta make sure we have Maru, the amazing observer. Anyways, but because of creep spread, injects, and just the sheer amount of Zerglings and Banelings produced, the APM is quite high. I actually learned from Reynor, yes, humble brag, direct, like, at Home Story Cup, watching Reynor go into the Windows registry. He goes into the Windows registry to lower the repeat rate of his keyboard. So essentially, what that means is if you want to type GG and you want that second, you just hold down the key. Windows only lets you, through normal methods, lower it so much. But he's actually gone into the registry to lower it to the minimum technical amount. Because when you gotta make those Zerglings, you gotta make those Zerglings, right? And it is a completely fun, like, it's not a huge deal. It's not illegal. It's just Windows was like, we did not expect people to be such pro gamers, so we never allowed that option. But technically, you can do it. So essentially, somebody needs to call in the team. I've noticed since I've added that, it took a while, but it was very hard to type. Because it's only like a fraction of a second before the keyboard starts repeating letters. So you get very methodical about typing as well. Because it affects your, it's not just StarCraft, so. Is this a 2-1? What year is it, Maru? It's not quite a 2-1-1. It's a bit more of a bio-curious build. Where we have Medivacs early. With Hellions and Hellbats. Reynor's gonna see all of it. He sees the armory. He sees the tech lab researching STEM. He sees the starport without the reactor, but it was building. Wait. Okay, he finished his medevac. So, Reynor knows exactly what this is. And, hashtag Yas Queens. Brenda and her knitting crew coming together. As many queens as possible. I mean, what better unit to repel these early attacks? And with a spotting crawler just to make sure we got that backline and a great Zergling counterattack right on time. Maru, I don't know if he messed up his wall or if he just hadn't finished it yet, but already 8 SCVs, the queens on their own. He's got 8 of them, the Octo Queen build. And counting, by the way, because you never stop making queens. You just pause temporarily. A lair at the front, but the queens will shut this down. Reynor taking the game into his hands and his Zergling claws. And that's where, like, especially before, he's not sitting back. He's not going for 80 drones, 4 bases. No, he's getting up in Maru's face. And I think this is the right call. Oh my god, it is a bio-curious build. Named slightly after Cure, who understands that Marines can only be microed so much. One way, You know my thoughts on Cure. But Widow Mines, on the other hand, he's got 2 barracks, 2 factories, and going for that reactored starport now. So Maru going to be very reliant on the mines here, which can pay off with dividends. Oh, as you can see, one of those queens is the leader. We all know who it is. But Reynor has already gained momentum, taking 8 SCVs out at that exact time. It didn't just delay the economy. It also defended the push, because Maru felt obligated to get damage done. One, he couldn't focus 100% on the micro at the front, so he wasn't going to try to like stim through and target down queens while losing SCVs at home. And 2, it kind of forced Maru into that awkward position where he feels like he has to attack anyways. So that has allowed, the aggressive defense has allowed Reynor to rack up a solid drone count. He's gotten his lair. His upgrades are even with Maru. His 4th base, I like that he's taking over to the right side, by the way. Oh my god, are those 6 Widow Mines? Alright, Maru's just decided, hey guys, like it, smash that like button to check out my new Minecraft build. This is called speedrunning non-Koreans in 3 games or less. I've been refining it for 10 years. More mines coming out. Reynor kind of just shutting it down. He's going to get Maru retargets. 7 drones overall. So Maru loses 1 medevac. He gets... Yeah, there are no more mines. So that is about the worst that could have gone. Reynor just defends it. Like, where is the Overseer? Oh no. Oh my god. I hate Widow Mines so much. Manually detonates the Banelings because Reynor also hates Widow Mines, and I'm with you on that. Yeah, this kind of feels like Maru thinks he has it in the bag. I don't wanna, I mean, we're here to interpret. But this is the kind of thing that you do when you feel like you got games to burn. And he does have games to burn. He could have just won off that. If he kills 20 drones with that, with the mine drop, that's most of the way to winning the game. But it was 7 drones, and he lost a medevac at least. And Reynor has barely been slowed down. So instead of getting like a lead or catching up, Reynor continues to have map control. And this is not like the even, we're both macroing and staring each other down. No. Reynor has an advantage. He's got 96 drones. He's making more mutas. Does he even have an infestation pit? Oh. No. Shh, stop watching the stream. Well, here we are, but it's not the focus. You know what? We're going to the Reynor action cam. Reynor now has 200 supply. He's gonna hit. I would be incredibly surprised if he just sat back. Like, it is the rest of the map to 3 bases. Romanticide, you're able to lock down those 3 bases pretty easily. Did you see the injects? We won't stay too long, hopefully, because we'll all get a little dizzy, but this is Reynor chilling at a casual 1500 APM. But now Reynor's maxed out. He's got 104 drones. No. Like, you can't sit back with 104. You need to attack, because your army supply is going to be smaller than your opponent. And if you let that gap grow too much and the upgrades even up too much, it's untenable. At some point, the Terran... The door... You can't leave the door open? What are you doing? Maru leaves it open. Here come the Banelings, the Zerglings, dozens of SCVs gonna go down. The Muta's coming in from the right side, looking for more opportunities up the center. There are a couple turrets easily targeted down. Maru scrambles back. That attack shut down. Widowmine's doing well, finding more. But Maru battered back. Another round of injects for Reynor. He doesn't... Oh, he targets the Widowmine, but he takes a hit. More Overseers. More Zerglings on the way. The hive is most of the way done. More mutas coming up. 101 drones, 200 supply. Reynor winds up again. It's not going to stop here. That was just the beginning. And he's going to go until we reach the end at this rate. Ultralisk Cavern. Skipping the Lurkers entirely. Lurkers, too slow for his taste. At the back. Wait. I don't believe he has a Nidus, but more mutas coming up. Oh, there's a couple Widow Mines over there. He's using the glaives in order to deal with it. Queues up more. 3 turrets and 2 Widow Mines. Not nearly enough. The engineering base. Now 2-2 is done, but that means, and look at that. You can see the thought process. He's like, oh shit, upgrade advantage. Boom, right there. Goes right back to his Evo chambers. Starts his 3-3. Knows he's going to have 3-3 quicker. Reynor, with the early pressure and the early scouting, was able to get some damage done. So instead of being disheartened, instead of being essentially defeated in those first 2 games, he changed up. He looked for an opportunity early, and Maru did kind of give him it. He had that opening. And Reynor took it, though. He didn't sit back and try to do the same thing again, but somehow slightly better. It wasn't working. The Lurker style was not working for him. Maru was too patient and too solid. And go back to everyone. But, okay, hold. Because it's slowing down a bit. Despite all of Reynor's efforts, Maru still has a nice amount of workers. He's got 4 bases. Got 3-3 on the way. He's maxed out. So there is still plenty of opportunity for this to become a bit of a budgetary disaster. Reynor still gonna do as Reynor do, which is attack. Another attack. Now, a lot of banelings went down, but Naru is now supply blocked at 197 over 156. He lost many of his depots despite killing those banelings. He lost a command center as well, which doesn't help. He needs to rebuild those. Rebuilds 3 command centers. Reynor. Now, as a great man once said, when I'm really far ahead and I want to lose, I make Ultralisks, implying they're an ultra risk. Did he get ultra speed? He got chitinous plating, but they're not the Usain Boltralist he needs. Reynor has enough minerals and gas, and this he's been trading better. He's been trading way better. As you can tell by him only, he's actually lost less than Maru. For the first time this, well, that just changed by 1 resource. So technically, Winter, well, he's lost 1 more mineral now. So you don't know it. Well, how about okay? All right. Meanwhile, a huge attack. Banelings, right-click pass, planetary gone. Anything without enough HP to stand up to it, gone. 16 SCVs, gone. And while Reynor lost a lot of resources, that attack was devastating to Maru. He needs the 4th. This is what's different than the other matches. That was the 4th base. There's no other 4th base. There's no fallback. The main is mining out. The natural's mining out. The 3rd very soon will be mining out. The income starting to go heavily in the Italian Stallions direction. Over 3,000 for the last 10 whole minutes. It's been going that way. And more than ever before, the gap widens. Maru, with barrel, like he's not even able to max out, whereas Reynor's desperately trying to find a way to spend his money. Some overseers just around. Ghosts are getting added in, but like against this many links, they're good against ultras, but Maru still not that much to deal with the overwhelming lings and blings. Picks up some ghosts. The spread is good. The ultras chopping through anything isolated. Reynor, the mutas, sniping some tanks. Another attack where Reynor loses a lot of units, but the command centers are forced to lift. SCVs die. Thor's not incredible in this scenario unless he can actually max out. Thors are okay against ultras, But lings and blings, as long as the banelings, the vanguard of creep tumors. 46 more banelings on the way. Reynor at 669 APM and rising. Could he drop under 4 digits? Not for long. And we might see 700 by the end of this. He's using all the lisks and lings across the board. More snipes coming out. Oh my god. Meanwhile, more ultras, and in the center of the map, banelings. He doesn't even want to hit any of these. Predator knitting crew holding it together. The command center down for the count. Maru spread far too thin. And not in the good way, like with Marine splits, because I think 104 Zerglings on the way. Reynor, another round. Banelings towards the natural. Another command center dies to ground units. Maru is crumbling, left, right, and center. More SCVs. 9 more. Reynor is breaking him on all fronts, and there isn't the fall. Another, where did they come from? Lings, Ultras, the ghosts are gone. The medevacs have nothing left to heal. Widow mines, barely anything in the face of this much. And Reynor brings it all back. He takes control of the match just a few minutes in, and he never lets it go, and he also forgets the ultra speed upgrade till the very end because he likes to play fair. Reynor ends it. If that game went on 2 more minutes, I think we would have seen 700 APM. But Reynor, come on. You gotta remember your upgrades. It's kind of an important one. But that was quite a display. I mean, this whole series so far has been on Reynor. It has felt like Reynor has been in the driver's seat. Now, sometimes he took the wheel, pressed down the gas pedal with all the Vespene he had to offer, and crashed it directly into walls. But sometimes he was able to go fast enough to ramp up over them. Or just crash right through. And that means that he puts one on the board. A spawning pool. First. Oh, he's expecting the proxy Rex so much. This is a somewhat anti-proxy Rex pool here. He's like, come on. I can't believe you haven't proxy Rex me yet. And because there's no gas. This is not like I want to kill him. This is just I just don't want to die to something dumb. He might opt for trying to cancel a command center, but this is more defensive than offensive, I think. He's going to make 6 lings. And Maru decided to build his racks on the low ground, which I don't know how. He didn't SCV scout. Important. Maru did not SCV scout. He's been a greedy Terran boy. The thing is, though, Reynor, because he walled off the low ground, means there might just be... Oh, it depends on where he puts the factory. If he puts the factory not at the wall... Oh. Uh-oh. Well, that's not good. If he had put the factory at the wall and walled off, this game might look very different. But unfortunately, this is a total disaster for Maru. Oh my god. Oh, this is... It can't get worse. Like, this is as bad as it could possibly go. He's going to lose all his SCVs, no second depot, delayed command center, kills the reactor. This is just the magnum opus of disaster. Reynor could not have asked for a better opener. Like, this, if he gets this SCV, okay, he's not going to get it. But now Maru is supply blocked because he didn't finish his second depot. The whole build has been scouted. He lost SCVs. So if Maru just hadn't been a greedy Terran goose, and he had built his factory just next to his Rex, which I'm not sure why he didn't. He's just, between the non-SCV scouting, just the greed punished in the most dramatic possible way. Like, he wasn't going to, sixlings are never gonna kill you, okay? Like, let's hope. But it doesn't get better than that with sixlings, especially against someone like Maru. The only way you're gonna get that damage done is if there are no units. And there were no units. So this was partially Reynor with a great timing, great execution with great control, and partially a little luck. Because if Maru had SCV scouted, if Maru had either built at the top of the ramp, or if he'd built the factory to wall, well then this looks very different. Because SCVs don't die, command centers aren't delayed, and Reynor has hamstrung his own economy for a little gain. But here, now there are 9... Wow, Maru wants to go, I think, battlecruiser off this. Unfortunately, Reynor not willing. You can see, this is a new Reynor. This is a new angry, aggressive Reynor. No more sitting back and letting Maru get 3 bases and 70 SCVs. No! Punch him directly in the face as many times as you can. And I don't care if Maru Rocky was showing up in the previous matches. Don't let him get that many rounds in. There's a fusion core, but I have a strong suspicion we're not necessarily going to see battle cruisers here. As, oh my god, and the roaches show up completely unscouted. This, again, this is round 2. And possibly the final round of disaster. Oh my god, Ravagers come in, hitting the SCVs. Well, Hellions going to be an annoyance. That's it. Banshees on the way. He's gonna lose a ridiculous amount, even for... He doesn't have 3 CCs. This is not 3 CC. Engineering base, semi-wall, not gonna last long. Hellions trying to come up. Non-speed Lings stopping them. The Queen slowing them down. A few drones will fall. A Banshee will pop out, but the damage is being dealt. Oh my god, he almost kills the Banshee with that. Yeah. Oh wow. Maru has done a lot with those hell. He killed 11 drones, so that's not enough. But it almost was. If a Banshee had been in production, maybe, but he was trying to wait for the battle cruisers. GG. Reynor ties it up with our first real early aggression. Reynor gets in and claws his face off. And that brings us to match point in setting up the one of the most unlikely, not just in general, but also against Maru. It is... Reynor's gonna send 2 drones out. Or pull first again. I don't like... If Maru doesn't proxy right... Like, does he? Place your bets. Get your bets in. Only you will know. You can say, Winter, I was right. You were wrong. Your bracket said Maru's wrists were gonna explode in the group stage and Reynor would get knocked out by, like, TY or something. Well, the new age of aggressive players have made it to the semifinals. And, either way... I say aggressive players, but Maru has not been the aggressor, not really, in any of these matches. Even the ones that went straight up to 3 base, he has not been the aggressor. it has just been Reynor, 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 Reynor. Just like the Wings of Liberty campaign. It just comes down to what Maru does to react to it. A drone going out, looking for the almost inevitable proxy racks, which now we get into the however many layers, the onion of mind games. That is, will Maru proxy racks or not? But I hope I'm gonna take this time, since there's the hatch first, no aggression. I hope you guys, I'm gonna speak, because this will probably make it to YouTube pretty quick. We're watching live. I know over the last month or two, between the more community-oriented support for Starcraft, which will be required, and the majority going into the future. And, of course, there haven't been too many major tournaments because IEM Katowice is, and you can see by these players, the focus of everyone for the last few weeks. I hope you enjoy my casting, my breakdown, though I know the casters do an incredible job at ESL, and thank you. Like, they just hand the replays out for free. Just for anyone. For $0, just like smashing the like button. And now we're here. Like, it's right there. You can go watch them if you've ever figured out how to download a replay. So, but hopefully you enjoy my casting. Hopefully we've got a nice thick arrow that brought you here, and hopefully it brings you in the future. And with that, for the 10th year in a row, let's watch Maru. Well, actually, technically, I don't think Maru was in the first season or two of GSL. I think he joined, like, a year in or so. His parents wouldn't let him play until he was 13, okay? I gotta... But I just to expand one more time, I still very much enjoy SC2. It takes a reminder, even for me, after 10 years. I'm old. Like, but you look at Reynor, 18 years old, and I'm like, I started playing SC2 at 18 years old. God damn it. Like, and those are my thoughts on the matter. And here we are. Medevac on the way from Maru. What is this? What is this? Maru has been trying. The one thing Maru hasn't done is just like a standard Hellion opener. I guess the closest he got was on Death Aura, but he's over here, like, he's mixing it up every time. And Reynor takes the I'm not sure if this was because of a Reaper being in the way or if he just likes this base more, but Reynor taking the triangle base. As long as you got enough queens. Brenda! What, Karen? We can only fire so fast. The Whittle Mine a bit. Oh, takes a hit with the mine, but, like, essentially it's just a hit to the self-esteem if there's no follow-up. Maru. Now, this isn't just, like, just because, well, you can't lose the medevac. It's very important not lost them. So, this is usually why players don't like to expand here. Maru is demonstrating very concisely for us. You don't really like to expand in the triangle formation early, because Zerg players don't have any flying anti-air. Shut up, Winter. We don't want to talk about it. So that means drops and liberators and anything with air can kind of exploit the back and forth a lot more easily. And you'll see this with medevacs over and over again. Same goes for Protoss as well. a lot of the time. That's why you'll see Protoss expand in the similar patterns to Zerg. So Reynor taking this base did make himself more vulnerable. But if he gets the creep spread and he takes another base on this side, instead of being a vulnerability, he can kind of shore it up by just preemptively defending by already having units out there. So, like, the medevac didn't really do damage. It just annoyed Reynor, slowed him down a bit, but it wasn't enough. I don't really think so. I feel like Maru is kind of overcommitting to things that aren't going to do damage. And maybe against almost anyone else, it wouldn't be overcommitting. But against Reynor, like, he's going to see it. And even if he doesn't stop it immediately, he's going to be... He's in the most active of any... Like, look, he had a Zerg... When he didn't have creep, he had a Zergling spot this. Like, Maru tried to pre-cloak his Banshees, but Reynor saw it for a split second. The Queens are already there. 78 drones to 51 SCVs. And now, wow, there's a third command center for Maru? Like, this is a significant gap. Mules make up some of it, but this... And there's no huge... I'm looking for... I guess it's the upgrades a little. There's a Spire out of Reynor, but... It feels like Maru just didn't get anything, really, with his early pressure. Nothing significant. And now just... Reynor has 80 drones. Maybe, like, honestly, 100 drones is maybe a bit much. It's fun, and I'm not entirely confident that Reynor realizes he gets 100 drones before he does. I think it kind of just happens. But Reynor is already past a mid-game economy. Like, he's already got 4 going on 5 bases. So, are there any macro hatches? I mean, you can just add more hatches. Any hatch is a macro hatch, just some are more vulnerable than others. The Spires are on the way. Reynor is banking up gas, and that is intentional. But here comes Maru. Maru already has an armory, but he hasn't started 2-2. He's got 1-1 done. Bit of a counterattack. Banshee's here to defend the third. But Banshees don't stop everything. Reynor forced to pull back. This is a bit of a tough situation, as even though he's got more supply, most of it's in workers. 93 drones. You need to calm down. 93 drones is too many when you're facing down a mid-game push. The Baneling's coming through, but 1-1 is not yet done. And that means Maru will have a slight advantage to start this great tank shot. Good target fire out of Maru. The Lings and Banes wrapping around the back. Another round of Banelings coming in. Really wants to hold this base. More Lings from the back. And those could decide everything. The Queens holding the line. Forced to pick up the Marines into the medevacs. Random, not gonna have it. Well, actually, I don't know. Maybe gonna have some of it. Meanwhile, 2 Banshees doing some damage. Maru battling back. How does Reynor still have 90? I guess he didn't lose any drones. So like, it's too many. It's actually too many drones, though. Like, you can't even really mine with that many. He's got a buffer. Like. Meanwhile, whoa, Maru. Reynor respecting the army. The 2-2 upgrades from Maru was a little on the slow side, so Reynor's caught up. In fact, his 2-2 is slightly quicker overall. It looks like Maru gonna keep working this angle, which is so far away from his base, remember. That's kind of important to point out. 2 Banshees. Okay, the Queen's having at it. I think, well, you killed our sister, and now you're going to die. Reynor plummets to 89 drones. Meanwhile, Maru contending with the Mutas. Some of the Maru trying to get rid of creep, but instead he might be finding himself losing Marines. The Mutas just, they're harassing. Banelings trickling in. Yeah, not going to find much. The tank has something to say about that. 2-2 on the way, though. Reynor's still like, there's no reason he can't do everything he did last match. The 4th base is a big, what the? Maru kills his own Marine as a sacrifice. Blood for the blood gods! 2-2 finishing up for both sides. Now, Reynor's max, he's got 98 drones. Hit him in the face, Reynor. I'm sorry, I'm a little biased here, I think. In the face! Infestation pit on the way, but that means... No, stop building drones! Stop! Stop! Okay, just... Reynor, stop! It's enough! He's running the risk now of never having the army he needs. Oh, even the Queen's getting in on the action. Maru able to take out the bottom right side. Oh, targets down the Mutas. What a game. There's nothing here at the left side to defend. At least not for long. He just goes straight for the hatch. I think Maru is of the, Oh no. Oh no, he flounders! And right over the Queens! And the Mutas, Lings, and Banes! Maru losing on both fronts! He misses the pickup. The Medevacs get out with nothing in them. The Mutas forcing a lift, and the Lings and Banes killing some, not many SCVs. And Reynor maintains 200 supply, while Maru not able to get anything significant done. It is just constant pressure. Reynor unwilling to... Well, okay! Maru slipping. Not something you can usually say. And these are the unit this is the unit composition. This is the time where Maru usually thrives. Mid-game, good upgrades, 4 bases, plenty of production. He should be all over the place on the map. He scans the main. He sees the hive is on the way. It's not done. That's the timer for his death right there. He cannot let this keep happening, and then Reynor just gets into hive tech. Ultras and Vipers start showing up. That is unacceptable. But another attack. Maru holds pretty strongly here. Reynor is already rebuilt. He's got Overlord speed, filling in the blanks now. What other speed upgrades has he forgotten in this game? Okay, I think there aren't too many to get with Lings, Banes, and Mutas. The speed upgrade is good creep spread, alright, Winter? Okay. Adrenal glands 3-3, but Maru's going to have 3-3, and he's been mining off of 3 bases. While Reynor has had an income lead, his units are by their very nature less cost-effective in most scenarios. Maru trying to make some progress on any front here. The mutant count is up to 19. The money number, right between 15 and 20, enough to one-shot Whittle Mines, one-shot Medevacs, easily dispatch turrets, but not so much of your supply. A few Whittle Mines or a bad move is going to ruin your entire unit composition. Oh! Whittle Mines crouching, hiding, but another attack coming through. Right side, there aren't that many Marines. Good splits out of Maru. Great splits out of Maru. Making this very difficult for Reynor, despite how much supply he has. The Mutas doing their best to move through. More Banelings trickling into the third. Maru! Maru just not respecting. Oh, the turret goes down, but the boys held it for long enough. More turrets on the way. Reynor bounces back to the 4. 18 SCVs, 20 SCVs. The workers, the ones who suffer the most. The Queen still finding damage. Killing Medevacs will hold the line. Reinforcements will come up to protect them as best they can. Absorbing the damage, killing more. More Mutas finding their way through. But there are Widowmons and there are Thors taking big, healthy, meaty chunks out of it. Oh, okay, he really hates Mutas. Who doesn't? Oh, wow. Okay, that was bad. Reynor has money in the bank, but that was pretty rough. Planetary Fortress. Maru on the left side, looking for damage. Reynor doesn't have the army supply to commit so much on the right, especially after freeing up supply with all those Mutas. He's now building 7 Ultras, but without the threat of Mutalisk and the counterattack, like, you can't fly in with Ultralisk, no matter how dainty they are. Maru gets not 1, but 2 bases, and this army still hasn't been dealt with. He still hasn't. Somehow he still has enough workers. He's lost 50 but he still has 60 on the field, which is enough. And the income gap is closing, as it has a tendency to do when you lose 2 bases. Reynor, he's kind of slipping into that same situation he was in those... Okay, you can't refinance like that. Immediately loses the hatch. The drops really compounding on the left side with that easily droppable cliff. Reynor needs to kind of consolidate and reprioritize, because he's been flailing all over the map to some success. But Maru is starting to hold. A Thor goes down. The medevacs are able to get most of the units out. Reynor still with a commanding army supply, but his bank is being exhausted. And Maru has solidified his infrastructure here. Like, he's got Widow Mines on the way. He's got Liberators. He's back to a decent SCV count, though Reynor has something to say about that. Meanwhile, more drops on the left, more drops on the right, and no more drops in the center. The Bio Army chasing the minefield, more Minecraft being played. Down go the Ultras. The Marauders punching through. Another hatchery. Ultras chopping, but also suffering the price. There's no detection here, so even if Reynor is able to get the damage done, the Widow Mines pose a real threat. Another Ultra goes down. So much damage on both sides. The drops were cleaned up, but they got the work done. They've denied the bases, and this is what happens. Maru, the second the mutas die, the drops head out. That exact, he realizes the weakness. You don't have the ability to kill drops anymore, and Reynor realizes it too, a bit belatedly. He's got 15 mutas on the way. He replaces what he lost, but is it too little? And is it too late? Ultras on what we could call the 4th base of Maru. A lot of SCVs vulnerable, but once again, Reynor has such a high drone count, and he wasn't even maxed. So Maru does have the army supply to split here, and that means that Reynor doesn't really have enough to contest this army. Even though there's a wide mix of units, and there aren't that many of them, it's just so difficult to deal with each of these pieces. Trying to come up the ramp. Reynor going to lose at least one more Ultralisk. You shouldn't be alive. He gets out with 4 HP now. Oh, come on, man. A big game comes in. Mutas find Widow Mines. Going for the Liberators. Liberators being used for splash damage like it's 2015. Actually doing a whole lot to the mutas, but that means the Liberators can't siege up. Here come the Lings, the Ultras. Maru maybe extending a little far, getting real scrappy down there. Nothing left on the ground. Maru chopped to pieces, and even though Reynor's economy is in tatters right now, he has 72 drones, but almost nowhere left to mine from. A Widow Mine getting involved. There's still a Widow Mine on the high ground. The afterthoughts here that were not cleared out. Maru halts. They both just wailing on each other for like 5 straight minutes. And when finally we have a breather, Reynor has lost twice the gas and 10,000 more minerals. But Maru is at a critically low number of SCVs. He is on a very tenuous economy, and it's getting even more dicey. 16 more. He's almost at where he started with, and that's not a good thing. Reynor, on the other hand, is restabilizing his economy. He's cleared up the Widow Mines in most locations. He's finding places to mine, though they're starting to become few and far between. Maru has an incredibly tough choice to make now. Does he try to get more damage, or does he just hold? And I don't think we're close enough to mining out the map that he can just hold. There's still too many minerals and too much gas out there that he can't just sit back and hope that Reynor gets himself killed. A handful of mutas. Reynor microing them. Reynor touching near 700 actions per minute. I mean, he's already set the records, but this may end up being the highest APM pro match, of this caliber. There's been pros before who have particularly aggressive spam, in one way or another. But at this, like, IEM Katowice semifinals, what a time. Reynor, I'm not confident that he can break Maru. He's really focused on holding the line and making sure... Oh, Little Minds making that tough, but... Maru's back up to 35 SCVs. Mules keeping things in line. Both sides have regrouped, recovered from the exhausting aggression. And they've got another round in them. Oh, the minefield! Oh my god, nowhere is safe! Maru pressing forward, targeting a hatchery. More Widow Mines. The Medivacs able to pick up. Where are the Mutas? Looking for an intercept. There's next to no Marines here. The Mutas don't even have any upgrades. No +1 attack or armor. Meanwhile, Ultras... Fungal! The Medivacs! There's no Mutas here to deal with them. There's no more Fungals, but he's being chased back. Reynor will knock out the Medivacs on the right side. Splits to deal with the Widow Mines. Overseers will clean them up. Maru moves in to defend. Both these players, their life on the line. Reynor crashing through, killing more SCVs. A couple infestors getting involved. The Medivacs are right there. Oh, not getting a Fungal out of that one. The right side. Oh, no. No. Okay, all right. It's going to be a no. Meanwhile, what? There's always another Widow Mine. Maru intimidates those drones. Wait, no, Maru, no. Maru. Maybe a little F2 action. Gives Reynor enough time to realize what's going on. Brenda! What are you doing out there? How did you get there? Gonna be just in time for the Widow Mine to cool down. More Widow Mines scuttling in. Oh, God. Goddamn Widow Mines. Oh, here you go. Thank you. Oh, they're everywhere. Maru taking chips and chunks, whereas Reynor taking big bites. The orbital command is burning. Oh, great Fungals! He can't pick them up! The Ultra's chopping through! But, Maru holds the line. The Ultras die. The Marines and Marauders forced to stand their ground. Though, the Zerglings are streaming over the production. Maru is caught. He doesn't have that much army left. He can't afford to retreat to save his production. But he can't afford to attack or he might get overwhelmed. Reynor on a shoestring budget now. But so is Maru. Most of the SCVs vulnerable because they're outside the main. That's where Maru has been forced to retreat to. Reynor killing the economy. He's isolated. It's an orbital command. The Queen, Reynor, with 3 in a row to reverse sweep over Maru. He takes the game how he likes to take it. Full aggression, not sitting back. Still finding 100 drones. But GG. So, when Reynor realized he was being too aggressive in the late game, when he was being too, like, his economy was not enough to overwhelm Maru, he's like, well, maybe if I just punch him faster. Like, instead of, maybe I need to be more careful. No, maybe I need to be less careful. But I do want to bring you just a slight moment from Reynor, from an interview, which I think is relevant. Because, of course, it's not so much about me knowing who wins or who loses, but it's about whether there are good games from for the fans. So, if you enjoyed this, like, subscribe, ring the bell, all of that. Check out ESL. Thank you for watching, and I'll leave you with this. Here's some coaching from Reynor.
Game, fantastic creep, 100 drones, my perfect, the perfect spot. And I was like, okay, no more lurkers. Fuck that unit. Oh, I can't say that. Yeah, no more lurkers. He's gonna camp, make ghost. I don't want that. So I just made 100 bailings and go. And then I don't remember the fourth game. Oh yeah, light shed. Yeah, that was fantastic early game. Fantastic creep. 100 drones.
Good luck, have fun.
The perfect.
Fuck that unit.